Hi guys, welcome to my channel Soil and Margaritas. My name is Roxana and I am in Zone 5 in Central Indiana, and today I'm just going to show you how I am going to propagate my dahlia tubers. In the last video I showed you that I just purchased a few tubers from my local hardware store. You can probably find them everywhere right about now. They sell them by the pack of 1, by 2, by 3, but one of the things that I know that you probably also know is that dahlia tubers are quite expensive. If you live in a northern area where they don't come back, you know that you have to save the tubers at the end of the year, do all of that stuff to try to get them again the next year, and it's a pain. I'm gonna be honest, it's a pain. So the first year that I tried growing dahlias from tubers, I decided that I was going to propagate some, and I follow a few tips from a lot of people, and I did this 2 years ago. I didn't do it last year, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. Super easy. I don't have the need to propagate any of my dahlia tubers this year, but I'm just going to show you how easy it is. This thing is full of soil. So basically, we put these tubers here. Use some regular tubers. Get your favorite dahlia tubers that you have that you want to get more plants of. Get them in soil, regular potting mix. Do not use the soil from the ground because it's just not gonna work. Use regular potting mix that you will use for any of your containers or planters. So basically, we put the tubers right here, a little bit of exposed. We're not going to cover them. We're just going to wake the tubers up, if that makes sense. We did this on the 9th of March, so today is the 28th, and they have been here for a little bit less than a month, and you can already tell that my sprout is quite big. It's a little bit over 3 inches tall, so it looks pretty good. Actually, this is the perfect size right now where I want to try and cut that off the tuber to try to propagate it. I have 2 tubers here, 2 tubers that I got from my local hardware store. One of them has no sprouts whatsoever yet, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad tuber. And actually, I don't know if you'll be able to tell here, but I have some roots developing from this tuber as well, just like the one that is giving me sprouts. So just kind of depends on the tuber and the health of the tuber, I think, or maybe even the variety. I am not very experienced with dahlia tubers. But this dahlia tuber, I'm just going to pot it up in a container where it can just keep on growing, and hopefully it can develop better for when it's time to plant it outside. And this guy right here, I am going to show you how I'm going to cut that sprout and how I am going to put it into a container where I can try to get it to root, get it to make me some roots so that I have an extra plant. So instead of having just 1 tuber for that dahlia, I now will have 2 plants. And if I had a bunch of tubers, I can put them all in a flat, put them with potting mix, give them water, and I will get a bunch of sprouts from there and maybe double or even triple the amount of plants that I get from that dahlia. So it is super easy. It does take some time though. For me anyways, the beginning of May is when I'll be able to take most of my warm loving plants outside, tomatoes, peppers, dahlia tubers. So I will probably have to do all of this. I will probably have to start about 2 months or so before I even try to attempt to propagate any of my dahlia tubers. A whole month to try to do the sprouts, and the rest of the month try to get those sprouts to root, if that makes sense. So while it does take time, I think that you can save a lot of money, especially if you have a lot of tubers that you want to maybe double. One of these guys is about $10–15 for 2 or 3 tubers. So if you can save some money by propagating, I think it's just really worth it. Now I'm going to show you how I am going to cut this sprout from this main tuber, and what's going to happen is that this tuber and this tuber, I'm going to separate them and put them in their own containers to let them grow, to let them develop the roots better in a more in a bigger container. So once I am done with taking this sprout out of this tuber, they're just going to go into their own container because this is way too small to let them grow here. The container that I'm going to use to put the sprout in, the one that I'm going to cut from my tuber, is this clear little guy. I am not going to put it into a huge container, mainly because right now my biggest concern is just the sprout developing roots. I am not worried about how those roots are going to grow, how big they're going to get. I will worry about that here in a couple of weeks or so, depending how the roots do. But I like to use this clear container because I'm going to be able to see how the roots start developing. You can use a solo cup, you can use a smaller cup if you have it. You can even use one of these containers that I got from my grocery store, whatever small container, as long as you give it some drainage. This one does not have any drainage, but as long as you choose something small where you can just put the sprout. I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. Use whatever you have available. Even one of these cell packs, if you had a bunch of sprouts going here, you can just fill this with potting mix and you can just put the sprouts right here directly and they will develop just fine. Since I only have one, I am not even going to waste doing this. I'm just going to use this clear container. I think that I got some cherries from the store here. This container already has holes at the bottom, so I am not worried about making any drainage holes for them. So let's cut that sprout from the tuber and we can go from there. You can use something with like a very pointy ends here to cut the sprout. The main thing that we want to try to do is to get a little piece of the tuber. That's going to help the sprout here. I know a lot of people just rip the sprout out of the tuber, and from what I have read, you really gotta try to get just a little bit of the tuber with the sprout. So I am going to try to do that today. I can use one of these guys, or I can just simply use a knife, especially the way that this sprout is right here. It's kind of in between two tubers here. So I'm just going to go one piece right here and another piece right here to try to get the sprout out in one piece. Do this very, very carefully. And there it is. We got a little piece of the tuber here, as you can see, just a little bit. I think this is plenty, and we left the tuber there as it is. And like I said, I'm going to move these two pieces into their own containers, so we're done with that. And I have regular potting soil here, nothing special, just whatever potting soil you have. And instead of putting this in the middle, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to put it right here on the side, just so that I can see any roots developing better. We are going to take some of the leaves of the side of that sprout. I'm gonna give it a little bit of water. And that's that. Hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to give you an update on how this sprout is doing. But right here, we already have an extra chance to get an extra plant for my dahlias, which is really, really pretty cool in my opinion. So this is it, you guys. This is really how I try to propagate my dahlia tubers. This is very easy. It just takes a little bit of time and effort, but I don't think it's really that complicated. And hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to give you an update on how this little guy is doing. I think it is very easy for them to propagate. Hopefully we'll be able to see roots developing there as well. So I will take this out by the time that I start taking my peppers or my tomatoes outside, the beginning of May or so. And that's it for this video, you guys. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Like I mentioned, I am not super experienced with dahlias, and I think that if you give them a little bit of time and effort, they really reward you with beautiful blooms. That's it for this video, and until the next time,